was King of France during the French Revolution. European nations feared the spread of revolutionary fervor from France and were highly critical of the new government in France, threatening to intervene to restore the power of king. A number of other issues divided Austria and France, and both sides seemed to want war. On April 20th, 1792, France declared war on Austria. That began the War of the First Coalition. The France suffered initial defeats in the field. The Jacobins were a very radical group, although they were still considered relatively moderate. They firmly believed in the need to remove all social class distinctions. They also believed that the vote should be universal and that government should provide for the welfare of the poor. As soon as the Jacobins rose to power, they called for a national convention. Members of this convention would be elected by an equal vote. The job of this new convention would be to dispose of the Constitution of 1791 in favor of a new Republican constitution that did not include a monarch. The members of the convention were elected in September of 1792, and they made it the effective national government of France until 1794. The first act of this convention was to declare France a republic and completely abolish the monarchy. They were successful in putting the revolution back on track.
As Prussian forces began their drive toward Paris, their commander, the Duke of Brunswick, demanded that Paris disarm and threatened to level the city if they resisted or if it harmed the royal family. When Louis XVI published this Brunswick Manifesto, it seemed that the final proof that he was in league with the enemy. This threat drove the revolutionaries to take further action. The Brunswick Manifesto was distributed throughout Paris. The Duke of Brunswick warned the Parisians to obey Louis XVI. He threatened them with violent punishment if they did not. The Assembly offended and ordered the sections of Paris to ready themselves. The manifesto created both fear and anger in Paris.
King Louis didn't see the French Revolution coming. However, when he did realize that it was there, he maintained different personal and political goals. At first, his goal was to stop the revolution. His attempt at this failed, though, because since he hadn't paid attention to how to rule a country earlier, he had no idea what to do against the revolution. When he realized that he had caused this trouble and that people were out to kill him and his family, he all of a sudden had a different goal in front of his eyes. All he wanted to do was stay alive. To achieve this goal, he hid behind as many other people as necessary and didn't care about their well-being. This shows his selfishness and his disrespect toward his guards.
To get away from all the people that wanted to see him dead, King Louis decided to escape with his family near Austria, where they would be safe enough from attacks on the palace. Unfortunately for him and his family, a postmaster found his secret. When the royal family was arrested and brought back to Paris, they were looked at with even more disgust. The French citizens imprisoned Louis and his family. Now there was no longer anything special about them. They were just ordinary poor prisoners with ragged old clothes. The failed escape brought King Louis XVI to an even more dangerous position than the one he had been in before his attempted escape.
In November, the convention announced that a trunk had been discovered containing letters written by the king. The letters showed that Louis was plotting with the émigrés to crush the revolution. The convention tried and convicted Louis XVI of treason. The delegates sentenced him to death. On January 21, 1793, Louis mounted the steps of the guillotine. "People, I die innocent," were the king's last words to the watching crowd.
The French armies captured the Austrian Netherlands and were threatening the Dutch Netherlands and Prussia. In March 1793, Great Britain, the Dutch Netherlands, and Spain joined Prussia and Austria in the war against France. The revolution caused starvation and economic hardships. In many parts of France, people felt the revolution had gone too far.